Today we are making a practice lock out of a lockwood lock. A practice lock is a lock which can be repinned without actually picking it by removing plugs from the top of the lock and repinning through the holes. This is important for beginner pickers, especially if they want to change the complexity of the lock and the complexity of the pins, and when they just cannot pick the complex pin they just put in, and I have this experience firsthand, then you want to repin the lock without picking it. And this is exactly what a practice lock does for you. So these are the tools that we are going to need in order to create the practice lock. So the first thing you need is a base lock which is easy to make into a practice lock. And what makes a base lock easy to make into a practice lock is these plugs. These plugs allow us to easily drill the core and create the pin plugs that we need. So these plugs are on the other side, not on the pin side of the lock. So this lock has 2.9 millimeter pins, and therefore we will need a 2 millimeter punch in order to punch out the holes from the lock. Then we will use a 3 millimeter drill in order to create the holes we need for inserting the pins. And then we will need this drill, which is a 3.3 millimeter drill, in order to create the plugs that will block the springs from coming out. So we have the M4 tap and some M4 minus 0.7 plugs. Then we will need this two-part epoxy putty, which in order to block the hole that we just punched out. And to do that, it is easy to do with if you just put in a follower while you do it. I'll show it in the section regarding plugging the holes. And if you have some old follower, I have this homemade follower which I made out of a thumb turn of some other lock, and it's not very smooth, so we can sort of ruin it with an epoxy putty. So these are materials that you will need, and next I will show the process of making this practice lock. So the first thing we want to do is to disassemble the lock so that we can remove the core. Let's remove the back plate. Little bit hard doing this from this angle. Okay, so the back plate is off, and now to remove the core we need to pick the lock, because I didn't get a key with the lock when I ordered it from eBay. So if this is your case and you're making a practice lock for yourself as a new picker, then you probably have a Bogota pick in your beginner's kit, and a tension wrench. So let's see, usually these locks come with lots and lots of master wafers, and therefore are really easy to pick with the Bogota. The second, okay, so this is not a picking video. Up. And we don't really care about the pin content of this core, only that we have access to all the internals. So let's remove all the springs. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Come on, spring. Okay, so 6 springs, and I think all the pins are out. Okay, so next we will need to punch out the holes. I have the lock clamped up in a vise on the table, and now all we have to do is punch out all these holes so that we can drill through the lock. So this is pretty easy to do with a hammer, a standard hammer, and a 2mm punch. Okay, so just put it here and give it a good whack. Okay, so the result is that we have nice clean holes from the original manufacturing process, and if you try to drill those holes out and you don't have high precision tools, you will mess up the alignment between the holes here and the holes inside the lock. And if this alignment is messed up, then it will be really hard. Let's see if I can focus. It will be really hard to drill through. It doesn't want to focus. To drill through the entire lock and come out on the other side of the lock aligned with both this hole, the internal hole, and the outer hole from this side. Okay, so this is the reason why it's much easier to just punch out all these holes instead of drilling them. I have everything set up in the stand drill. You can do the same with the regular drill. I'm using a stand drill for more precision, although this model is not so precise. So I put in the 3mm drill bit, and now I need to drill through the holes that we created with the punch through the hole inside the lock and all the way through to go out of the other side. Now, in order to align the hole perfectly, you can release the vise, release it a bit, and then make sure that if you're using a stand drill, it's easier that the drill goes all the way through, okay, until it touches the end there. So this is aligned pretty well. Okay, time to do the drilling. And safety first. Okay, so I'll continue drilling the rest of the holes off camera. So the end result is that we have holes on both sides of the core, and this set is the original set, and this is the set that we drilled through. And now you need to clear all the gunk that is piled up within the core. So again, I'll do it off camera, and we'll return with the clean core to drill the 3.3 millimeter holes on this side. Okay, so in this part we are going to drill the slightly wider holes for the plugs by using a 3.3 millimeter drill. And I'll remind you, the note, I have an M4 minus 0.7 plugs, which means the outer diameter is 4 millimeters and the inner diameter is 0.7 millimeters less, which means I need to use a 3.3 millimeter drill. I also set the limiter on the stand drill to drill about 4 millimeters, because this is the height I want for the plugs. The plugs are 4 millimeter plugs. Okay, so again, safety first. I'll continue off camera the rest of the holes. Okay, so the result is, as you can see, a bit wider holes over the core holes. So now we can tap these holes with the M4 tap. So this is what I'm going to do next. So I prepared earlier this M4 tap, which I'm going to use to tap these holes. So let's start with this hole, and trying to do it through the camera, and you have to be pretty straight. Okay, just let it go in and cut the hole properly, slowly. No need to rush. Okay, let's see. And I'm holding it like this so that it comes out straight. Let's see. Yes, this looks good. Let's do the next one. Again, this is a bit harder to do through the camera. Okay, so I'll do the rest of the holes off camera. Okay, so a two-stage epoxy. This is basically a material which is like it's a two-stage putty, and you can see it has an outer layer and an inner layer, and when you mix the two layers together, it becomes really easy to shape for like 2 minutes, and then it solidifies to something which is really strong. So let's cut like a tiny piece. Of this putty, and what we want to do is plug the holes that we punched out from this side of the lock. So okay, so you just have to like mush it around until it becomes, probably I should have used gloves, but not for this video, I guess. Okay, and it becomes hot, which means it works. Okay, so now it is hot and really soft, and we can apply it to the lock. But in order for it to stay within these holes and not to go through the entire lock, I'll insert this follower which I created from thumb turn of some other lock I had, and just apply the putty on the holes. Press really well, because we want to create a smooth round chamber inside. So you have to work it in really well into the holes, and I'm really pressing it pretty hard inside. And okay, so the cat wants to get into the lab. Don't know if you can hear it. So let's use the knife to make a nicer shape. This is not really nice. And you can use the knife to really smooth, push it in, smooth. Okay. Okay, cutting the exit. Now press the edges here. And oh, okay, now we don't want this to happen. If it solidifies over. Okay, let's turn this around. And I don't know if you can see inside so well through the camera, but on the inside it looks pretty smooth. So just maybe push it a little bit more. And I'm really pushing it hard, and can smooth things out on the inside. Yeah, maybe only the first chamber, not really smooth. So again, so this is already pretty solid, but I have to let it set for I think 24 hours. That was the instructions say. So all that we have left now is the reassembly of the lock, and I guess I'll do it tomorrow. So 24 hours have passed and the epoxy has set in. I should have left the follower inside the lock, but I forgot. So now I had to clean the inside of the lock just by moving the follower in and out until it gets pretty smooth inside. Okay, so this is pretty smooth now. And now we can just reassemble the core within the lock, and we don't need to pin the core while it's outside. We can, since it's a training lock, we can pin it from the inside. So let's assemble. Okay, the back side of the lock. Alright, so this moves pretty freely. And now I've already prepared the pins, so we can just drop the pins inside one by one, and I'll show for the first pin. Then the driver pin. One. And then the spring, and finally the plug. Okay, so now I'll do it for the rest of the pins here off camera, and basically this is it. Once we have all the pins inside, we will have a training log which we can practice picking with. Thank you for watching.